What's up, guys? Swaggy back. You can also find me over at my brand new channel, Daily Vikings, where I will be covering them every single day. The Vikings, I would say, are my favorite team to cover right now. Coming into the offseason, I praise them for the addition of Kevin O'Connell, bringing in Zadarius Smith, getting Daniil Hunter back and healthy, Justin Jefferson taking that next step. Kirk Cousins, he has the lowest passing rating of his career as a starter, which is an issue, right? Because for the Vikings to make a playoff run, and to potentially win the Super Bowl, Kirk is going to have to play well. I'm not saying he needs to be the best player on the field or he even has to outplay the opposing quarterback, but Kirk, he has obviously a reputation for not showing up in primetime games, in big games. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. He's talented. He gives the Vikings consistency at the quarterback position. But it's time for Kirk to take that next step. And the Vikings realize that. Not only has Irv Smith been unavailable due to injuries for the past couple of years, he's still young, but last season Irv Smith was out. This season, Irv Smith, even when he's played, he hasn't been the starter, right? He's been sharing snaps. The Vikings had a major flaw at the tight end position. So they go out there and they make a trade for one of the best tight ends in football, in TJ Hockenson. Hockenson, he's 25 years old. This season, 26 receptions for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns in 7 games. He's going from a 1-6 team to a 6-1 team. Smith is going to miss 8 to 10 weeks, but even if he was fully healthy right now, obviously the Vikings would not have made this trade. And I'm not going to sit up here and be like, it was a blessing in disguise that he got hurt. I'm not rooting for an injury for anyone. Obviously, Irv Smith has all the talent in the world when he's on the field. But TJ Hockenson's a legit Pro Bowl type of player. He was a former first-round pick, guys. He's now out there with Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison. Kirk Cousins has 0 excuses. If the Vikings do not make a deep playoff run, it's going to be because of Kirk Cousins. I know you're thinking, well, the Vikings secondary, we need corners. The Vikings defense looked pretty good last week. The pass rush, I know Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter is just... That's just ridiculous. Think about that for a second, how good that is. And the Vikings, I would say their safety play, linebacker play is pretty solid. The strength of this defense is obviously the edge rushing. Smith can come at you from the edge. He can bull rush you. That's the strength of the Vikings defense. And their slot corner, I thought, played a little bit better. That's their main weakness is cornerback, specifically slot corner. DeAndre Hopkins just went off for 150 yards or something at the top of my head in that game. But for the Vikings, they're built from their offense. They have one of the best offenses in football, and that was prior to getting TJ Hockenson. Guys, the Vikings' last 11 drives in the red zone, 10 of them resulted in touchdowns. They have incredible efficiency. A lot of that is Justin Jefferson. Kirk Cousins definitely has made the right reads, and Adam Thielen, we know what he brings in the red zone. But now TJ Hockenson clearly is going to make this team even better. Before I get into the rest of the video, though, if you guys are a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, then you've come to the right channel. I upload them every single day at Daily Vikings. I upload them a few times a week over on Swaggy, so I don't exactly know if I'm going to post this on Swaggy. I might actually just post this on Daily Vikings, but regardless, appreciate you for being here with me. Obviously, the Vikings and the Lions made a trade during the draft. That's how they were able to get Jameson Williams, the Lions. So it's not too unfamiliar, I guess, but before the Vikings to go out and get TJ Hockenson, I definitely did not expect it. I don't know if any of you guys did, but I feel like it's a long time that we've seen the Vikings and Lions make a division trade like that for a player, yet alone this caliber. I'm super excited for the Vikings. This just gives me assurance that they do believe in the team. They're 6-1 as they should. But something that might not get talked about enough, and it immediately came to my mind, is look at the teams around the Vikings. So let's go to the NFL standings. Now, obviously, I don't have all of the trades in my brain right now or on paper. The Eagles, I know, made a move. They went out and got Robert Quinn. The Cowboys did not make a move. I don't even know I know the Giants made a move, but I don't think they brought in anyone of to be scared about. And then obviously the Packers did not make a move. They didn't get a receiver. Even if the Packers went out and got a receiver, I don't think any Vikings fan would be afraid of them. The Packers, I could rant about them. If you guys want to see me rant about the Packers for a Vikings video, I'll do that. I don't know. Maybe you guys would like to see that. If you do, let me know. I'd gladly do it because ranting about the Packers is my forte. And obviously the NFC South, you got to give respect to the Falcons and what they're doing, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. The Bucs are complete garbage. Brady came back for all of that. So you're looking at the Cowboys and the Eagles, in my opinion, at least. The 49ers, I keep discrediting the 49ers are a good team. They got Christian McCaffrey, of course, and they're getting healthier. I just am not afraid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, if you think Kirk Cousins is not a good quarterback, what is Jimmy Garoppolo then? I mean, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He just needs to show up in big games. We've seen Kirk look like the best quarterback in football at times, and then we've seen him look like the worst quarterback. So, but this season, I mean, Kirk, he does need to pick it up, especially with the looming schedule ahead for the Vikings. But the Vikings, they honestly had just as good of a trade deadline as anyone else. They went out and filled a need. They're coming off of a big win against the Cardinals, a game that a lot of people didn't even think they'd be able to win, which makes no sense. They were at home, and the Cardinals they're not a good team, right? They're tough to stop offensively, but I mean the Cardinals are just, their defense is just, they're one of the worst teams, if not the worst teams, at defending the pass. And they did a good job on Jefferson, but obviously Jefferson was able to make the plays that mattered. But I'm just looking at the Vikings, and the fact that they have another switch, another level, in my opinion, like right now, I don't think the Vikings are an elite team, but they're 6-1. So what is that saying? Because they're obviously going to get better. And when they do, I mean, what's going to happen here? Their next game is against the Commanders. And then they take on the Buffalo Bills. The fact that that game is at 1 p.m. Eastern makes literally zero sense. That should be a primetime game. I could check to see what the primetime game is. But, like, how are the Bills and Vikings not primetime? But, hey, isn't that actually beneficial for the Vikings? Because we know how Kirk has looked in primetime. So that game is going to be held in Buffalo. That's a test. I'm going to be real. That's not the first test. The Eagles was on the road. But this is a huge test for the Vikings. I'm not saying they need to go into Buffalo and win, but they need to go in there, compete, and leave the Bills thinking, man, Minnesota's got a team, bro. We could see them in the Super Bowl. That team, that's a tough team. That's what I'm looking for. Because obviously, it's an AFC team. The Cowboys, that game you need to win. You're at home. Obviously, the Cowboys are a contender. They're a team that's, I would say, is relatively the same as you. You've got to win that game. Like, I don't even think there's an excuse to lose that. And then after that, you play the New England Patriots at home. You're taking on the Jets. That game is at home. And then you've got the Lions, my Indianapolis Colts. That we don't really know exactly the details for that. I mean, it's going to be held in Minnesota, but the Colts are horrible. The Giants, Packers, and Bears. So the Vikings, honestly, they have. I mean, the Giants definitely deserve credit. They have a couple of tough games, but the ones we're looking at is obviously the Bills and Cowboys, which are back-to-back weeks. So, keep an eye on that. I can't wait to see what happens. The thing with football, right, is the games are once a week. So, like the Vikings, they just beat the Cardinals, and now it's the Commanders. I'm currently recording this on Tuesday, and I just can't wait for Sunday to watch football. But yeah, obviously we're basically 2 weeks away from the Bills game, but you do need to go into the game against the Commanders and take it seriously, and you obviously have to get TJ Hockenson going and learn the scheme. It's not the Vikings offense isn't complex. It's actually really simple. It's effective. I'm not saying it's not effective. It's extremely effective, but there's not a lot of motion in the Vikings offense. So Hockenson will be fine. He's a veteran. He's only 25 years old, but he's a good player. He'll be able to pick this up. The defense, I just want to see improvement from the secondary because the Commanders have some of the best weapons in football, believe it or not. I mean, Terry McLaurin is a superstar in this league. Curtis Samuel's very good. He's one of the fastest players in the league. And, Jahan Dotson, I don't even know if he's fully – I watched my Colts. Someone let me know, is Jahan Dotson healthy? He's one of the best. You could make the argument he's the best rookie receiver. I mean, I'm not saying he is, but he's one of the best rookie receivers. And then obviously with Gibson, he's very good, and Brian Robinson as a rookie. So yeah, the Commanders are not an easy team. I mean, I'm absolutely disgusted that my Colts lost to them at home, but the Commanders, they're basically a quarterback away, and that's why I'm surprised they didn't get more aggressive on getting a quarterback. I hate how teams like the Panthers. The Panthers are actually a perfect example. Like, why don't the Panthers, teams like that, go out there and get aggressive for a quarterback rather than drafting? I don't even remember the name of they have a rookie quarterback on their roster. I do not even remember his name, but like some of these teams they just need to prioritize getting a quarterback But these teams are like, hey, we'll build a good team. The Panthers are really good. They've got weapons, obviously, at CMC, but they traded them. They've got a good defense. They're like, oh, we'll build a good team, have a Sam Darnold, a terrible quarterback, Baker Mayfield, PJ Walker, and then we'll look for a quarterback in the next class. I don't understand why these teams don't just go out and get a quarterback. So that's why Kirk Cousins is underappreciated, because I know he's not an elite quarterback, but he's a consistent quarterback. Like, you know what you're getting out of Kirk. Like, if you put Kirk Cousins on the Panthers, we would easily be talking about them as a contender. You take Kirk Cousins off of the Vikings and you put in Baker Mayfield, I mean, we would not be talking about the Vikings. We'd be talking about them being in last in this division. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's an opinion. I'm not saying you guys have to agree with me, but yeah. So I'm going to post this on Daily Vikings, and I really appreciate you guys if you made it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. I post Vikings videos every single day. Also, drop a like for the algorithm. Let's get this out to more NFL fans, more Vikings fans, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.